I did it. I finally bloody did it. I have gone back and forth on this list so many times, and I finally sat down today and I was so brutally honest with myself, and we have my top 10/11 ones a duet. Leave votes in the comments on which one that is of my favourite books that I read out of 200 odd in 2021. So let's do it. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, let's jump into this. This year I think I need to start doing what Jen does from the Book Refuge, and start, actually other people do as well, they start doing 6-star reads, because it's going to make it so much easier for me to determine what my favourite books were. There's no way in this video that I cannot include this book, and I think you'd be absolutely shocked if I didn't, and that is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer Armentrout. I have to include this book. I have to, because it, you know, it really spun me into fantasy and fantasy romance, and just gave me everything I didn't know I was looking for. So we have Poppy and we have Hawk. So weird saying Hawk. I had to think for a second then. And Poppy is basically kept as this maiden. We don't know why she's a maiden or what a maiden is, and she is kept fully veiled, fully covered, no one can touch her, no one's really meant to look at her, and we are all waiting for her ascension. Her ascension to what? We're not too bloody sure of that either. However, the answers do come within this book, the next book, it all comes out. However, right now we've got Poppy, who is covered, she is veiled, and she is kept as like a precious porcelain doll, waiting for her ascension into something. The thing is, Poppy is really badass. Her bodyguard teaches her how to fight, how to use weapons, and she is so cool. I fell in love with Poppy in this book. And we're not going to go into books 2 and 3 about how I felt about Poppy moving forward. However, I absolutely loved her in this. And then we have Hawk, who comes in to be a bodyguard for her, a new bodyguard. And he's quite delightful. He is very, very lovely. However, he's harbouring a dark secret. Everyone's harbouring a dark secret. The book is all about secrets. It really is. Before I read this, I hadn't read anything like it. So that's what I'm saying. If I did a reread of this, I don't know how I'd feel about it. I think I'd still love it and it'll always hold a place in my heart, but I don't know how I'd feel about it. Because I don't mind when there are unanswered questions, as long as the plot can move forward, but that is what a lot of people had a problem with this. But I didn't care. That we didn't know why she was chosen as the maiden. What was she actually ascending to? Who are all these people who are keeping her? Who the hell is Hawk? Well, we find out who he is. Yum. And yeah, there's a lot of mystery. We've got a badass heroine. We've got a very yummy, morally grey, very secretive, like who the hell are you kind of hero. And yeah, it has to land on my top 10. Wow, I described that book real well, didn't I? Pop you there, love. The next one on my list is Transcendence by Shay Savage. I can't not put this. However, I did not give this 5 stars. This is what I really struggled with doing this list. I gave this thing 4.5, 4 or 4.5, only because there was a lot of time jumps near the end of the book, and I don't think, only because they wanted to show their lives, I don't think there needed to be that many. I was a bit like, come on, come on, come on, but then the ending absolutely killed me, cried my eyes out. So it's all from the perspective of our hero, and I cannot remember his name now. The name she gives him. He's basically a caveman, and suddenly one day when he goes to check his trap, he finds that there is a woman in it. Now she's a modern dressed woman, so it's all from his point of view. So the way it's written is really good. Because it's all from his point of view, you have to piece together what's happened to her through his eyes. And that's why it's got to go into one of my best books I've read this year, because it's so well done. So she's there, I think she's wearing like jeans and a shirt and stuff, and he is like, what? What are you? Obviously, he's not very bright. He doesn't speak. He's a caveman. And he, like, takes her and he's like, oh, okay, I found my mate now. He's very lonely. Like, he lost it's so sad. He lost everyone. He's such a sweet hero. He lost all of his, like, tribe and other caveman dwelling people. And he's all on his own. And he's like, all right, I have a female now. I will show her my cave. And he takes her around and shows her, like, all the furs that he has collected. And she's like, at this point, you can figure out that she has gone back in time suddenly, and she's like, ah, what the hell's happened to me? But it's through his eyes, so it's so well done. She's like freaking out, and he's like, I have this, and this is the food I have, and these are the furs I have, and this is our fire, this is the cave. We could get a bigger cave. Obviously he's not speaking because he can't speak, he's just like grunting. That's why I think it's in his head, so you get to see his thoughts. Oh, he's so sweet. And I think at one point when I just like fell in love with him is that I think she hurts herself or something like that, and he like tries to take her top off to try and like help her. And obviously when you're thinking of it through his eyes, she's like, get the hell off me. And I think at one point she punches him, and he is like so upset, and her, because he wasn't doing it maliciously, he wasn't trying to rape her or anything, he just wanted to look after his like new mate, his new female that he found, and she's like, she won't stop crying, and he's like, I don't know how to make this better, and he's just so cute, and when she punches him, he's just like, he bleeds, and he's like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, and it's just so sweet, and the ending just fucking destroyed me. So yeah, caveman romance with time traveling all through his eyes. It's so well written. This actually is spicier than I thought it would be, because she teaches him, like, pretty much he has only seen his parents do it in a cave in one position, and she's like, okay, well, when they get down to it eventually, she's gonna teach him a lot. And it's just really funny, sweet and sexy, and the ending just absolutely ripped me apart. So Transcendence has to be on the list. Oh, another one that made me cry, I talked about it in my last video, and that is Forbidden by Tabitha Suzuma. Has to go on the best books I've read. It was a 5-star read, and I don't know if I could sit through it again, just because I know how heartbreaking it is. So we've got a family, and it follows the eldest brother and sister who have kind of become like the parents to their younger siblings. They're living in poverty, it's really rough. And they have to become like the mom and dad to look after everyone, because they're pretty much always abandoned and neglected, and so much like just abuse. And it's so heart-wrenching. And it is a book about how the eldest brother and sister fall in love with each other. That's why it's called Forbidden. So it is about incest. Like I said in my last video, it's not a romance book. I have to say it's not a romance, even though they do fall in love with each other. And then the ending is just, it's one of those books that just kind of, it breaks you so hard. You fall in love with these characters so much, and your heart breaks for them continuously throughout, and then the end, if you've read it, you know what happens. The ending is literally, I was ugly crying for so long. I couldn't control myself. I couldn't stop crying. It's the most tragic, most, fucking gut-wrenching book I've ever read. I would 100% recommend, but I do warn you, it's not a light and cheery book. It's an extremely dark book. But yeah, if you want to be moved, if you need something that's going to really move you, like to the moon and back, this is the book for you. What else we got? Alright, so this one is a duet, so I have to include, I'm just going to include it and make it as like one in my top 10, and that is the Anti-Heroes in Love duet by Gianna Darling. The first one is When Heroes Fall, and the next one is When Villains Rise. I actually gave book 2 5 stars. I think I gave the first book, was it 4 or 4.5? It's very rare for me to prefer the second book. I have to include this duet. I've been banging on about it all year. It is Mafia. It is a grumpy sunshine. We have got a very like stone cold, like very ice queeny kind of lawyer in our heroine, who has been assigned to work the like capo of the Mafia, his case, because he's being sent to court for a multitude of crimes, obviously, Mafia, and she's there to defend him. He asks her to move into his like condo apartment house place, so because he's put on house arrest, so it's a bit of a forced proximity, and she is very like icy, and he is very delicious. He's like the kind of hero that is very dominating, quite possessive of the people he loves, and will kill for them. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, kill for the people he loves. But then he's got this side to him that Gianna wrote so well, that he's got the squishiness, and he's like kind of like the sunshine in their dynamic, where she's the grump. And it's fantastically done. Fantastically. It's really well done. So it is probably one of my favourite Mafia romance like duets I've ever read, because, and the second one, when they both come into their own, like I love both their characters and their connection and how much love they had and developed for each other. It was just so good. And the second one is, I feel, I gave it 5 stars, I think it had way more action in it. And that's what I'm wanting when I'm reading something like a Mafia romance. So, yes, Dante, we know. Next one is another one I haven't stopped banging on about, and I'm sure you can guess what it is, and that is The Sweets Oblivion by Danielle Laurie, simply because I think I listened to this on script. I just couldn't stop. Could not stop. So it is Mafia. It is Forbidden. We've got our hero, who has been put up for an arranged marriage with our heroine's sister. Yeah. So he comes round, he's not very happy about having to marry her, and they try and like just have some meet and greets, they come over for drinks and dinner or whatever, trying to get to know her, and the heroine's sister is just like, yeah, no, I have no interest in this. Like, she knows she has to do it, but she's like, I have no interest in you, and they have nothing in common, it doesn't go well, and they're just sat together and it's really awkward. he spots her sister, our heroine, and he's like, yeah, I'm having you. And the sexual tension is through the fucking roof. It is slow burn. Don't worry, we get the spice, we get it, but it is slow burn, and Danielle Laurie builds this up. She builds a sexual tension to a fucking boiling point, where anytime they're in the same room, you are literally squirming. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say you are squirming, because it's like, is it gonna happen? Like, what? When is the dam going to break? So yeah, I absolutely adore this book, and I really need to read book 2 and 3 of the Maid series as well. Made Men series, whatever it's called. I think it's called the Maid series, isn't it? All by the Made Men. Anyway, yeah, fantastic. Mafia, high sexual tension, forbidden. Ooh, mwah. Oh, I gave so many Crazy Coles 5 stars this year, so I had to pick out The Immortals After Dark, like what my favourite one was, and it was a real toss-up between Wicked Deeds on a Winter's Night. I had to pick, and I went for Dark Needs at Night's Edge. So this is book number 4, is it? Yes. It's book number 4 in the Immortals After Dark series, and this is the first time I've ever read a ghost romance, and it was so good. It was so good. So we got Conrad and Naomi. Conrad is a vampire and he's gone absolutely mad. He is tormented. He's completely consumed by this darkness. All of his brothers kind of like take him, put him in this abandoned house, chain him down. We need to basically break your madness. Otherwise we're gonna have to destroy you. We're gonna have to kill you because you have like gone over to the dark side. Like he can't see straight. He is like absolutely destroyed mentally. Completely gone. They chain him up. In this house we meet Naomi, who was a ballet dancer back in Deer before she was murdered. And she has roamed this house for, I don't know, is it like 80 years or something? Like a really long time. And finally, she's seen people come and go. And she is so enraptured by this vampire. And she didn't know vampires existed. And she's like, oh my, I had no idea that vampires were a thing. You learn something new every day, even though you're dead. And then she realized that he can see her. And she's like, excuse me? No one has ever been able to see me. She's like, maybe it was a trick, but he looked straight in my eye in his mad craze. And I absolutely love this because, oh my god, why is it with the tortured, like we said last time, it's about the tortured heroes that find their healing. So yeah, he is crazy tortured. She's like, I can't believe someone can actually see me. Obviously, it's all about mates, like fated mates. But she doesn't have a body. The thing is with vampires in this series is they're complete virgins until they meet their mate. They don't even get an erection until they meet their fated mates, and then bam, hey, down there, you're awake. And they're like centuries old. They're like, you do work. Anyway, but obviously he can't get that. I think it's called the bloodening. He can't get that because she doesn't have a body. She's not fully formed. Like she's not a real person. She's dead. So it's like the whole time you're like, Critical, how are you going to make this work? Oh, but she does. Mwah. I had to give this one of the best because it was just so well done. I've never read a ghost romance. So had to be on the list. Oh, this is gonna be a long video. It's just me gushing. I'm trying to explain some books and then I'm just gushing over others. I'm sorry. Then we know it had to come, and that's Kingdom of the Curse by Kerry Maniscalco. Can't not be on the list. It'd be very insulting. It was my most anticipated read of the year and it did not disappoint. It was a 5-star book, and if I do the 6-star thing, easily a 6-star book. Obviously it's book 2 in the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy. 3rd book is coming out in autumn this year. Can't wait till I can pre-order it. So yeah, I can't say too much, but we're following our main characters from book 1, Amelia and Wrath. It's a lot spicier, it's more new adult. So it's got, if you want to know, it's got spicy times, definitely. But it's new adult, so it's written in a way of not like super graphic or explicit, but it's all on page. That's the best way, like you know what they're doing. But the language is a bit different to when you're reading an adult romance. Anyway, love that. And the thing is, what I loved about this book is because we're trying to solve a big mystery, and I'm going to do a theory video before the 3rd book comes out of my predictions of where it's going to go. What I loved about this one is it's answering so many questions that you had from the 1st book. And I was like, oh, that's a shock, or oh, I got that right, or I totally knew that was coming, or I had no idea that was coming. So you're really happy. But then the moment one question is answered finally, it starts literally throwing more questions at you, and you're like, okay, so we answered these 5 questions from the 1st book. Now I have 30 more questions. So the intrigue, Kerry does it so well to try and figure out what is going on. It makes you immediately, once you finish the book, knowing everything you know that happens in this book, you want to go straight back to the start and read them again. Because when you know things and things are revealed, you're like, this is a game changer. I need to reread them all to alter my theories and predictions now for how this is going to end, what the secret truly is, what the curse truly is, and I cannot wait for Kingdom of the Feared. Oh god. So yeah, you know, that one. I'm gonna go and grab some water. I've been gibbering away. Okay, we have a coffee and we're ready to finish this video. Right, what's the next one? Okay. Next, best book, did a reread, read this twice now, and that is Souls Unfractured by Tilly Cole. This is the third book in the Hades Hangman series. I don't recommend reading it as a standalone because just so much happens, there's too much backstory of the girls in books 1 and 2, but I highly recommend, but please check the triggers. So this is book 3, because it's all about cults and these girls who have escaped a cult, and you kind of have to read book 1 and 2 to really get an insight into what's going on. But book 3 is all about Flame and... oh shit. It's not Maddie, is it? So yeah, this is Flame's book. He's part of the MC and he has become absolutely obsessed with one of the girls, our heroine. God, why can't I remember her name? It's so annoying. Yeah, best book, favourite book, can't remember the heroine's name. Anyway, and Flame is a completely loose cannon. He really is. And you are always so intrigued. He's so damaged and you just want to know like what has happened to this man to make him the way he is. He becomes very obsessed with our heroine because, as you would have seen in previous books, she was able to touch him. Now he's called Flame because he believes that he will hurt anyone he touches. So he only touches people that he kills and dismembers for the MC club if need be in the fights. But she touches him and he's just immediately like, how did she touch it? And I touched her back, and like, how did that happen? And basically he kind of like, the last thread of sanity he has in this book at the beginning snaps and they all think they're gonna have to kill him. And she steps up, our heroine, our wonderful, wonderful heroine who has been through so much in this cult. There are so many triggers for childhood sexual abuse and torture and just all these awful things that are in detail on page with flashbacks and things like that. So it's not just like briefly mentioned, it's in detail and it's very hard to read these books. She steps up to like, let me try and get through to him because he's just literally screaming. They've had to like tie him down and they're like, we're gonna have to end him because he's completely gone now. He's never coming back to reality. He's gone completely what they call nuclear. And he always said to his like fellow brothers in the MC was like, if I ever go nuclear, you finish me because I'm too much of a danger at that point to anyone. And she's like, let me in there try and help him because I can get through to him. Like they're always watching each other and stuff, but he will never touch her again and things like that because he thinks that's got to have been a one-time thing. How could that even happen? And it is the most heart-wrenching, soul-destroying love story of how they come together and they both heal through the most horrific trauma that they've both been through. Obviously very separately, but equally like just devastating. And I absolutely love both of them in this and how she will not give up on him. At all, and he's just waiting for her to, like everyone else has done in his life, just leave him. And it's like everyone's terrified him, they'll leave him, they don't want to go near him, and she's like, no, I'm not leaving you, like we are gonna get through this. And oh my god, it's so good, it's so good. The next one is A Funny Life by Michael McIntyre. I had to put this in because it's just a book that made me laugh so damn hard, and this one's very subjective to me because I'm such a die-hard fan of Michael McIntyre and loved his first book. The moment this came out, devoured it in a day, couldn't put it down, could not stop laughing. There was one point I wanted to cry in it, which I didn't see coming at all. And it's just fantastic for someone who has followed his career for years and years and years, to see the behind the scenes of things that you know about him or you've seen him on TV. And it picks up right after his first book left off when he got onto the Royal Variety Show. And how he was like, oh, you'd think that because, you know, I performed in front of the royal family, that now I'm going to be kicked into stardom and suddenly I'm a multi-millionaire, most successful comedian in the world. Didn't happen. So it's really interesting to, not only the first book, to see his life up to that point from childhood, but now this I love so much more because it's the part of him I can relate to, I feel, because I've seen all of his shows. I've seen all of his stand-up, everything he's been on, almost, I think I've seen it all. I know all his jokes, and also getting some backstory of some of the jokes and where they came from. That's always a fun time. And just hearing about how his career literally just wasn't thrown into stardom and the struggles it took for him to be who he is now. It's really inspiring. He just never gave up. The ups and the downs and the behind the scenes of being an actual comedian and what it takes to get to the very top, which he is. Amazing. Absolutely fantastic. And I haven't laughed so hard reading a book. I really haven't. It was brilliant. You sit there, my love. And the last one, I wasn't going to put this on it was going to be an honourable mention, but I have to because, again, what is it with the damaged heroes? Has to be Lover Awakened by J.R. Ward. So this is book number 3. Why is it books number 3 being the goddamn damaged hero? We follow Zadist and Bella, so I couldn't wait for Zadist's book. So Zadist is part of the Black Dagger Brotherhood, obviously, and we get to see him in book 1 and 2, and again, immediately, he's like the biggest, darkest, baddest creature that no one wants to even go near. Don't want to touch him, don't want to get near him, and you're like, what's happened to him? He's terribly scarred, which opens up a lot of questions because they're like vampires, they're immortal, they heal. Why is he scarred? And this is a long book. Like, this is a chunky girl. And the reason I wasn't going to put this on the best one is because I felt it veered off the main couple a few too many times, which normally in the other 2 books I didn't mind because, like I said, the world building's so good. I did a bit though. I did it a bit too much in this one, but it's fine because I'm just so excited for the next books because it's built it up so much, like the world, like where we're going in this series. And also it took so long to get to the end till we got our conclusion that I was anxious throughout. I was like, come on, come on, come on. It's a romance, they'll get their happily ever after. It's a romance, they'll get their happily ever after. Like, when is it going to happen? And then the epilogue just, oh, it's fucking brilliant. Because it needed to, you know when you get to the end and you're so scared, but then when you read the ending and you look back, you're like, it had to happen that way. It needed to take this long. Because I was like, Zadist needs to do something. Because Bella is like from aristocracy? That's not a word, I don't think. You know what I mean. And he is Zadist, and he is scarred, and he refuses to drink from female vampires. So he is like super, like he's massive. He's like super massive, super muscly, but super skinny, like he's really drawn in, and he gets worse and worse throughout this book. And Bella is just like enraptured by him and wants to help him and find out what happened to him. So it is about his healing and Bella finding her strength as well. And obviously it opens up a lot with Fury, his twin brother. Is Fury? Yeah, it's not Vicious, no, Fury. Opens up a lot with him, which I didn't expect that part of the storyline to come in, and now I don't know how to feel about Fury. I really don't. Even the first couple of books, I didn't know how to feel about him, the way he spoke about his brother. Like, I know you think your brother's, irredeemable, but you find out Zadist's past and what happened to him was so terrible. Him being a blood slave, like, don't worry, that's not a massive spoiler, but what actually happened within that time of his life and why he is the way he is. And yeah, it was amazing. I loved it. I loved it so much. So there you go. Those are my top 10/11 because of the duet. Favorite books, best books that I read in 2021. I really need to start implementing a better rating system to make this easier next time for me to do. So let me know if any of those landed on your top books of the year. And also let me know if they didn't, if you could pick one, what was the one book that you absolutely adored reading last year? And I will see you in the next video. Loving, leaving, shutting up. Subscribe, like, comment, share, do all of it. All the fun stuff, do all of it, do none of it. Doesn't matter, as long as you're happy. And I'll see you in the next one.